Hi, my name is Summer. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be going over some common floor yoga poses that you'll find in many classes. We'll also be going over the alignment, some Sanskrit terms, that way you become familiar with the language, as well as any props and modifications that can go along with the poses, as well as some poses that can help you ease into that final pose. You can do this workshop alone or with a partner, but regardless of what you choose, be sure you listen to your body, be mindful of your surroundings, you gotta be safe, and remember to breathe. You are more than welcome to pause at any time if you feel like you need to have a little bit more time to work through and feel through certain poses that we go through. Now take out your mat, any props, water bottle, have everything handy, and let's get to it. Okay, so before we get started, we need to warm up our bodies. Surya Namaskar, or sun salutations as many people know them as, is an excellent way to get your body stretched out while activating and strengthening all of the muscles of the body. It is known as the ultimate asana. If you can't do anything else, get yourself a round or two of Surya Namaskar every day. Go for a little bit more, but just get a few rounds in, you'll feel so much better afterwards. All right, so stand at the top of your mat, feet slightly apart, toes pressing into the ground. Kneecaps lifted, shoulders rolled back and down. Arms at your side, Tadasana. Now inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, reach for the ground for a forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway up. And exhale, plant your hands on the ground, step back, and lower yourself for Chaturanga Dandasana. Now inhale, press through the ground, lift up for Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. And exhale, lifting those hips up for Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. We're going to rest here for a few moments. Take a few deep breaths. Remember to keep coming back to your breath whenever things start becoming difficult. Come back to your breath whenever your mind starts to wander. On your next exhale, bring your feet up to your hands. Then inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Now firmly root your toes to the mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center, Tadasana. We're going to go through 2 more rounds of this. We'll try to keep a steady pace. Now, standing from Tadasana, inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, plant your hands on the ground, step back, and lower yourself for Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, press through the ground, lift up, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now take 5 deep breaths here. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. And on your next exhale, bring your feet to your hands. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Uttanasana. Inhale, sweep your arms up to stand. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Tadasana. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant your hands, step back for Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, press through the ground, lift up, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Really engage your legs here. Imagine that your legs are just sucking the energy up from the ground and it's traveling up your legs through your body. Your hands are firmly planted into the ground. If you can't put your heels down, it's okay. Sometimes moving a little bit forward or a little bit back can get those heels down, but that's not what we're concerned about here. Alright, on your next exhale, bring your feet to your hands. Inhale, half up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sweep your arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center, Tadasana. So the first pose that we're going to break down is called paschimottanasana. I'll repeat that. Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana. And it means intense stretch of the west. So the west being your back. So this pose seems like it's pretty easy. Doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, but it's one that many people find difficult because of the way we live, our habits every day. If you run, or even if you just sit all day, your hamstrings get very tight. And unless we're doing something to counter that, it will make poses like this even more difficult. This pose, because we are folding in on ourselves, helps us bring calmness to our mind, helps us look inwards, relieves stress, and it gives our hamstrings and our back a really good stretch. So to get into this pose, you're going to sit on your mat, legs out in front of you, and we're going to get into Dandasana. Dandasana is staff pose. So to get into Dandasana, legs out in front of you, we're going to flex your feet. Engage your quads. Sit upright. Hands to the ground. Dandasana. From here, you would reach forward, hinging from the hips towards your feet. Now, in paschimottanasana, it's really important to try to keep a straight back. You do not want to start rounding your back. It can cause a lot of pain in your lower back. You take a deep breath in, and deep breath out. On your exhale, you move forward, and you start reaching as far as you can towards the outer edge of your feet. Deep breath in. And on your exhale, you're going to sink a little deeper. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now, you're going to notice these quads, the more they're engaged, the more these hamstrings will loosen up. They're opposing muscles. So if one's active, the other one's going to loosen up. So it's really important when doing a pose like this, you don't want to flop over. You don't want to just start aiming and grabbing at whatever. It's slow and controlled. This pose is meant to teach you patience. So you deep breath in and deep breath out. So engage the quads and as you exhale. Now, if you need a little bit of help, there are some props you can use. For example, some people do really well with some height. So you can use a blanket, folded blanket. You do some yoga blankets, like I think they're like Mexican blankets. I'm just using my baby's blanket. It works pretty well. Just gotta use what you have in the house. All right. Sit, and with that little bit of elevation, take some of the stress off your hamstrings. And then go into the pose. Inhale, and you exhale, reaching forward, hinging from the hips, keeping as straight back as you can. Now, you can also use a strap. You can sit on the blanket for support. Take the strap, wrap it around your feet. And from here, keep it straight back, and you're going to tug at the strap. Engage your quads, engage your feet. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And just pull on that strap to bring you forward. You don't have to go all the way down. The final pose, the way it looks, your head comes down to your legs. But if you can't get there, don't push yourself to that point. If you start feeling any sharp pains, stop. You don't want to injure your hamstrings. You want to be able to keep practicing every day in order to improve. Rushing through it is not going to make things go faster. So, inhale and exhale. And then when you're in this pose, once you get to what your final version is, you want to stay ideally 1 to 3 minutes. Just really feel out. This pose is meant to teach you patience. It's meant for you to work with your breath. You work with your breath over and over again in order to get lower and lower. And you'll notice with every exhale, you'll start to deepen into the stretch. Another option also, if you can't get into it still, is using a block. It's a little bit taller. Maybe I'll put 2 blocks. See. Maybe a wider, broader base. If you don't have any blocks, just do something with some height that is stable to the ground. We want to be safe. So with that height, you're able to hinge forward and you put some, releases some of that pressure that's back there, tension back there, and move forward. Now, if you need space for your belly, move your feet slightly apart, no further than hip width apart. Sometimes you just need to get that space in there. Some people can't hinge forward because of the way their hips are shaped. So they need that little bit of space. So inhale, exhale, grab onto the outer edge of your feet, Pull your elbows out. There. Do not be afraid to use props. Props are there to help you. They don't take away from your practice. They further your practice. If you need it, do it. Keep practicing, keep coming back to the mat. Take a few minutes, pause this video, and work on your paschimottanasana. Stay in the pose as long as you need, and keep working on it with your breath. We'll be right here waiting for you for the next pose. So the next pose that we're going to break down is pronounced ardha matsyendrasana. Ardha matsyendrasana. Ardha matsyendrasana. And that means half Lord of the Fishes pose. Many yoga poses are named after animals, things from nature, or maybe a mythical being. So this falls under mythical being. There's many stories of Matsyendra, but one of them goes along something like this. When he was born, his parents were told that he was unlucky, so his parents cast him off in the ocean. And the little boy in the ocean was swallowed by a big fish. Now one day, Shiva came down and he was teaching, and the little boy was very intently listening, so much so that he was enraptured by the lessons. Now then he spent many years perfecting his yoga, and he came out of that fish an enlightened being. Now the legend of Matsyendra tells us the potential of our yoga practice, his transformation from a cursed infant to one that is a realized being is possible for any of us. By doing this pose, we are honoring one of the founding fathers of yoga and honoring the lineage of this practice. Now, this is a spinal twist, and spinal twists feel amazing. And there's some people that shouldn't be doing them. They recommend that pregnant women don't do them, or people who recently had abdominal surgeries or had heart surgeries. It is said that people with slip disc, herniated discs are able to practice this. However, they should be doing it under the guidance of a registered yoga teacher. Some of the reasons you might want to do this pose is to stretch those back muscles and twist out some of the stress that you have going on in your spine. Also, it'll help open up the rib cage, open up the muscles in between the ribs, and it'll help you breathe a little easier. But regardless, twists feel amazing. Make sure you get some in your practice often, if not, so daily. Now, to get into this pose, and we're going to go back into the dandasana. We want to keep our legs outstretched. Just be a strong dandasana for a few moments. Take a deep breath in and a cleansing breath out. Now we're here. There's a lot of crisscrosses that's going to happen. So we're going to take the left foot and we are going to place the left heel by the right hip. So we bend this left knee. We're going to make that flop over. Bring it under the right leg. That heel is going to be over by the right hip. Then we're going to bend this right knee. You stay here, or if you want to go to the next step, raise this right foot over the left knee. So we're sitting down, we're sitting tall. The left leg is bent. The left heel is by the right hip. The right leg is bent and crossed over the left knee, and the right heel is next to the left knee. Now from here, this is where we get into the twist. And take a deep breath in and deep breath out, and as you exhale, you're going to turn towards the right. You can use your hand, your right hand, and place it behind you. And you can stay here. Or you could reach your right or left arm up, bring that elbow down, and help you open up in that stretch, keeping the back straight. Twisting with every exhale. If that's too much for you, you can hold your leg right here. Just twist your body towards the right and hug that leg. You'll end up feeling a stretch through this outer right hip, and you'll feel that twist through the back. You want to face over the right shoulder. Now, it's called half Lord of the Fishes, because if you can't tell, the bottom portion of this is supposed to be the fish part, and the upper half is supposed to be the man part, matsyendrasana. So his two portions of his life. As you come back out, return to center. You undo the legs, stretch them out forward. And we'll take it to the other side. From here, the right heel is going to be next to the left hip. Left next to right. You could stay here as you twist to the left. Just hug that knee, the left knee. As you exhale, you want to go a little deeper. You could bring that right arm out behind you. Or if you'd like to go a little deeper, bring that right arm up, cross it over, place it on the other side of that left knee. Inhale, exhale, and as you exhale, twist. Look over that left shoulder. And remember to breathe. More than anything, yoga is a breath practice. Now inhale, and return to center. Exhale, extend your feet out. Inhale, exhale, paschimottanasana. Another option you have is to sit on a blanket. And bring left over, right next to left. Inhale and exhale. can also use the blocks if you need a little bit more height. So another option you also have is to use a strap. So you place a strap on the inside of your leg. Bring the other two pieces underneath. So let's say you were to have minimal flexibility and your leg keeps falling over. If you were to start grabbing, you start tilting. And we want to keep that spine straight up. So you could hold on with your left arm, create the twist, and you start pulling. So you'll maintain the integrity of your spine. We'll also start getting that stretch here. So we do not want to start tilting over like this, because then you lose what you're doing with the spine. Now this is a good spot for you to pause the video, go over what we went through. Maybe you want to rewind and figure out where the different feet and your hands and everything's going. Get into this pose. It's going to be our only twist pose that we're doing in this series. It's going to feel amazing. Do both sides. And just remember to practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get. So take that time right now, pause the video, and work on it. I'll be right here when you come back. Now our next pose is navasana. 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 And that is boat pose. Now, Navasana is one of those poses that's going to require a lot of core strength. It's something that yoga is very famous for. And it's going to require your hamstrings to be flexible. So I put this pose at this spot because we already done paschimottanasana. We worked on our hips a little bit with ardha matsyendrasana. Now, we also need to have an open back. We're going to use some of the back muscles there. And our arms are going to be raised, so it's going to work pretty much our entire body. It does become difficult over time, but there's many variations and you just work up to the variation as you go along. This does tend to be a very difficult pose. A lot of people aren't able to do it, and if they are able to do it, not for very long, and those that are able to do it for a very long time have practiced this pose over and over again. It's about consistency. It's about keep coming back and revisiting this pose over and over again. It requires your entire body to be working together and gaining that core strength in order to hold this pose for a long period of time. Now there's many variations, so you just meet yourself where you are today. It is not important that you get your legs straight. It is not important that you get your feet off the ground right away. You need to meet yourself where you are and find progress from that point. Now, in order to do this pose, the way we get into it is you're going to sit on your bottom. We always go back to Dandasana. Dandasana is really, really good. It's pretty, like I said, it seems like it's easy. It's really simple, but there's a lot of stuff going on. So even if you're just sitting on the floor, you're going about your day, this is nice to just get your legs fired up, get your core fired up, get your arms ready, your back. You're just very strong. Now, from here, you'll sit with your knees bent. From here, you can see if pointing your toes and leaning back a little bit feels okay for you. For some people, this might be too much. This might fire up the core enough, and this is as far as they can go. Now, when we do this, you gotta remember, boats are never flat. They have a curve underneath, right? So when you're in this, you want to tilt your hips in. It's called a posterior tilt. By doing that, you engage your core. So you just have your feet pointed, knees bent, lean back. Go open up through the collarbones right here. And this might be it for you. Now you can also try raising one leg, and then raising the other one. You can just add little bits to your practice and just meet yourself where you are. Now you might be able to raise one, raise the other one, and be here. Or you might need to just hold on to your legs. Now, if you're able to, you might be able to have one extended and one bent, or you have both. Having that extension right there is going to require your quadriceps to fully be engaged. Because you can't have straight legs without that engagement right there. You want to curve it in, just engage that core. Another option that's available to you is to use a blanket. And we go through the whole thing. Just meet yourself where you are. Extend those arms, broaden the collarbones. Maybe you're here, and that's okay. Just explore and see what feels right. Tuck that tailbone under. You're gonna engage your core more when you have that tailbone tucked under. If you have it out, I can't even feel anything holding me up properly. So, like it made me shake right there. So just remember, tuck the tailbone under, but you're going to broaden the collarbones. And from here, just practice. Now there are other poses that you can do to help get that pose to come a little easier to you. Paschimottanasana. Inhale, exhale, and that's going to open up those hamstrings. We're going to practice pulling up the kneecaps. The more you pull up the kneecaps, the more the hamstrings will open up. Also, downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, you tuck your tailbone under a little bit and it'll engage your core. So you'll get the same kind of sensation as when you do navasana, except for upside down. Another pose you could be doing is what they call baby cobra. So you'll put your hands under your shoulders. And you're going to, using your back, lift. And in this lift, you're going to be strengthening your back. Having a strong back will help with navasana. Another pose you can work on that will engage your core a lot is this L sit. You have 2 blocks, you can use books, anything that is going to be sturdy, stable, and will hold you up. So 2 blocks are nice. You'll have them in the low position or the high position. And from here, you're going to press into the blocks, and you're going to use your core to lift yourself up. And come back slowly. You don't want to slam onto the ground. That's not going to feel so good. If you're advanced, you have very good core strength from that heightened positions. You'll be able to lift those legs. Right. Just take it where you are. Just one day at a time, one practice at a time. Our last pose of the series is padmasana. 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 And that is lotus pose. Can you believe we've made it? The last pose of our little series here. So padmasana, also known as lotus pose, is the one pose that people, when they see it, it's like they associate it with yoga. They know that is like the ultimate yoga pose. It's not easy. It takes a lot of flexibility, a lot of different areas of your legs needing to be open in order for you to do it safely without having any injuries to your knees or any other body part. There are 3 different elements to this pose. So the first one is, can you bring your heel to your thigh? This is important because you're going to want to seal that knee joint. The knee can only go this. It's a hinge joint. It can only move in this direction. Now, if you don't seal it, you're asking the knee to twist, and that's where you're going to get your injuries. So, can you bring your heel to your bottom? Now, if you do that, the next question to ask yourself is, can my knee move out? This is going to require flexibility in different areas of the leg, but this needs to be able to move out without the foot moving out. Because even if you did that right now, you would start feeling that pain. I could feel that little tension right here. It does not feel good. So can you make this fall over? This is like Janushirsasana. Now from here is, can you bring this foot up and over the thigh without any of this moving? So can this happen? Because once we have this closed, we don't want to open it. So if we can make it here and we can make it here, we don't want to mess with that work we've done to protect our knee. We want to be able to do this here and do it safely. This is all about keeping your knees safe. So give that a try and be honest with yourself. It's okay if you can't. This is why we practice. We practice so that we can get better, and sometimes some people's bodies are just not meant to do certain things. Some people's hips are made in ways that they won't be able to have this kind of rotation. And that's okay. Now keep practicing that. Be honest with yourself, whether or not you can do it. Try it with the other leg. Can you bring up to your thigh, close off that knee joint. Make it fall over to the side. See right now? I can't really flop that over too well. I have a lot of things going on with this hip. I've been working on it. It was up to here, so this is great improvement that has happened over the past 6 months, or maybe a little longer, I'm not sure. Time flies. It takes time. And then from here, that everything has to be sealed. I'm going to rush into this pose. This pose, we have to take it easy and do some prep poses before we get into it. So let's work on padmasana, which is bound angle pose, or what they call cobbler's pose. In padmasana, bring your feet together. Let your knees fall apart. You could inhale and exhale. Start moving forward with a flat back. When you move with a flat back as opposed to a rounded, with a rounded yet, you'll get to the floor. But when there's a flat back, you'll start feeling stretches in a much more effective way. Now, if you want to get deeper into it, remember the thing about opposing muscles. So if you push down on a padmasana, on your knees, make your legs come up and push against your hands. You'll not only strengthen your legs, but you'll start loosening up the muscles that are needed to start opening up a little bit more. Another pose that is very helpful is Virasana, hero's pose. So with that, you can use a block. Not everyone has the ability to do this. Some of this has to do with whether or not your hips can rotate certain ways. So this pose becomes more accessible to some more than others. But essentially what's going to happen is your feet are going to be on the outside of your hips. So your feet are on the outside of your hips. Now, if this isn't accessible to you, you have a block here. Or a pillow, blanket, anything that you need, because this might be very, very intense for some people. But it will start stretching this part out right here. If this is too easy for you, you can always start leaning backwards. Do it slowly. If you do more, go a little bit more. Now the other pose that we can work on a little bit is Sukhasana. Here, this is Sukhasana, it's called easy pose. Just sitting easy. You start working on opening up the legs. Very good. Now, if you're absolutely ready to get into the pose, like you've warmed up your body, you've put in the time, and you've went through the padmasana, navasana, and you stretched out your legs, you stretched out your outer hips, you stretched out the inner thighs. Then let's go and get into padmasana. All right, so you're going to seal that knee joint, bring it over to the side, keeping this knee joint sealed. Going to bring that foot over to the left thigh, and we like to start right, then left. And then from here, this is where it can get a little tricky. For some people, they aren't able to hold that knee lock when they're bringing up the second leg. But see where you are, be honest with yourself. If this is all you can do, then this is all you can do, all right? So let's bring up that left lock. Then you're going to flop it and see, I can't do it because that hip is flopped over. So I will stay right here. Or I can come right here and bring it under. It's okay. Over time, practice will start opening up that hip again and allow me to get into this pose. There's people with practice who are able to get into this pose without the aid of their hands, and that is time, practice, and whether the anatomy allows it. So take a few moments here. If you're here, that's great. If you're not here, that's great. If you made it all the way and you got both feet up, that's great. If you're in easy pose, that's great. Wherever you are is perfect. Just honor yourself. Take a few deep breaths. Just keep your eyes closed. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out. Sitting in this position hurts, and sometimes you don't notice until it starts kicking up, or maybe you notice it right away. Use a block and alleviate some of that pressure. If you don't want it that high, you can also use a blanket. There's meditation pillows, zafus, things like that you can use, a bolster, anything, just to keep you up. If you're going to meditate for a long time in this position, having that does help, and it'll keep you from feeling fidgety after some time, especially if you're just starting. All right, so take it out. You want to do this carefully and protect that knee. That knee is everything. You get one knee unless you go buy one, and the recovery is not fun. Necessary for some people. If you can avoid it, let's avoid it. Be nice to your knees. Be nice to your knees. Alright. We went to Sukhasana, easy pose. Just remember to be gentle with yourself. You are the one person in this whole life that you will be with for your entire life. So it's important that you are kind to yourself. Be forgiving of yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Take a look around, find a few things that you're grateful for. Make a list at the end of every day of some things that went great. you'll start noticing more and more beautiful things in your life. Keep practicing. This is a journey. There is no destination. It's just a journey through life. And we make of it whatever we want. You might as well make it happy. Thank you for being here with me and taking part of this workshop. I hope you learned something. Please let me know in the comments if you learned something about yourself, learned something about a pose, or if there's something that I left out that you really wanted to know. Leave it in the comments below, or you can find me on my Instagram, which is @summerperez. I'm here for you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much.